Imagine the ocean at dawn, the mist curling like dreams just beginning to fade, waves carrying whispers from the deep. For 14 years, Neptune has been swimming through its home sign of Pisces. It's been dissolving what we've thought was real, and it has been opening a lot of our intuition. It's also about compassion and about the collective imagination that got like really heightened during this time. So it's been like this era of spiritual renaissance. It's about mass escapism. We saw massive illusions in the media. Neptune rules over our screens. And we've also been seeing like this unprecedented empathy getting a little bit mixed up or confused with martyrdom as well. So this was really a time of humanity becoming more like connected than ever, but that happened through our screens, yet we like really struggled to actually connect with each other. So we had like a little bit of a challenge with what was real and what was the truth versus what was just merely a projection. So now it has come to its final act. This is like the last drifting, yeah, stationing direct of Neptune in a sign of Pisces. It's at 29, a critical degree. So this is like the most massive energy that gets like casted here on Earth by the planet Neptune. Neptune is an outer planet and it has been influencing like the collective consciousness and everything that is in regards to that. So yeah, the veil really grows thinner as Neptune stations direct, and that is going to happen on the 10th of December. It is most strongly felt a week up front, so we are already in this massive shifting of a tide. So a lot of people also will let go of a lot of old dreams during this time, like the dreams that you haven't been able to like fully complete can now be let go of. And another dream will appear on the horizon as soon as Neptune will shift into Aries, and that's going to happen on January the 26th. So welcome back to my channel. My name is Astrid. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining our tribe. So we're gonna look at the presentation for today about Neptune, and here we can see it. So mysticism meets reality. I've chosen this line because Saturn is co-present into the sign of Pisces as well. So Saturn is like our grand master, and he's been saying to us since March of 2023, like, your spirituality needs to have a solid foundation. Your spiritual practices, they need like structure and like they need to be realistic. That's why you're seeing so much scrutiny going on in the spiritual sector, and a lot of people who have been using their spirituality to really like escape these realms are now like, Saturn is like saying you need to like get back here on Earth and like ground and really put a lot of structure in your spirituality, and you cannot merely use it to escape. So the first time that Neptune entered Pisces was in April of 2011, and the full ingress happened during February of 2012. So that year really felt like a very big collective turning point, and also the Mayan calendar was reaching like its symbolic end. And during that time, a whole new digital era was born. So social media platforms and smartphone apps, they really exploded during Neptune's ingress into the sign of Pisces. And we didn't just like use technology, we really like began to live through it. And Neptune in Pisces connected the entire world, but like in a very paradoxical way, because yeah, this transit, it like dissolved boundaries and distances, really linking us through our all screens, but and also in our apps and like all these invisible waves of data. And suddenly we could like see each other and talk across continents and share our emotions in real time, just as I'm doing right now with all of you guys. I'm like very, very thankful that all of this like progressed in this direction. And it's just like humanity became like one vast ocean of connection, and within that ocean something also quietly broke. Like the deeper we scrolled, the more disconnected that we felt inside. We were actually seeing everyone but truly not knowing anyone, or like everyone fully. So yeah, the phone really became this big portal into like the collective, and our wall also like against presence and being fully present in the moment. And the Neptune illusion of like this whole unity, it actually slowly drowned our intimacy. So it also showed us that connection without consciousness is actually just a lot of noise. And now, as Neptune prepares to leave Pisces for the very last time in our lifetimes, we really need to wake up to like we need to wake up from like this dream and the dream state and like passively scrolling our lives away. And now when it shifts into Aries, that will be like a very big initiation into cardinal fire. We need to put our dreams into action, and we also need to relearn what connection truly feels like, and not just like by talking on the phone to one another. We need to like get off our couch and really like be present with one another and take action on our dreams. So yeah, for the past 14 years, this was like really Neptune in Pisces at work. It was like dissolving all these boundaries between reality and the virtual world, and also between the self and the whole collective. And we really became so immersed in our dreamscapes, and we, yeah, scrolling so much and like passively really witnessing our lives rather than, yeah, really living them. So now that we're seeing the final direct motion, we are actually offered one last wave, and it's not to drown in, but to really wake up from. So before we go deeper into the retrograde, we're also going to look at what Neptune rules over. But if we go back to this one, so a very big collective dissolution and healing. The last drift before a new dawn. The new dawn will appear in the spring for the Northern Hemisphere of 2026, because then Neptune will shift into Aries and Saturn will also have been shifting into Aries. They will make their big conjunction on February the 20th. And a lot of people are going to let go of a very long 14-year cycle in regards to deception and self-sabotage and not being able to see the full truth. And now the last final weeks is actually here for us to revisit all the old storylines in regards to all the Neptunian aspects from 2011 to 2025. So later in this video, I'm going to walk you through each of the 12 signs, and we're going to look at where this Neptune transit has been taking place for you for the past 14 years. So stick with me for that. So what does Neptune actually rule over? Here we see oceans, storms, floods, water. Of course, Neptune is a water planet. And when it's in its home sign, it is like very, very strong and very, very capable of projecting this strong energy here. Like Neptune rules over everything that is unseen, and it isn't like about what's obvious or what's like practical. It's the planet of the invisible and the unseen realms, and also what just lies beneath the surface. It's rules over our dreams, illusions, spiritual connection, compassion, and also about the parts of life that feel a little blurry or a little bit hard to define. So yeah, storm floods have always been connected to Neptune, and anything that has to do with like some kind of fluid movement on a big global scale, like migration and displacement, and also all these humanitarian flows on the earth. It's actually like the symbolic flow of people across borders. Neptune also rules over religion, spirituality, so everything in regards to these hidden confined places like temples and churches and monasteries, but also mental asylums and jails and shelters and rehab centers, actually places that illuminate people that are a little bit isolated or forgotten or in need of healing. Neptune actually rules over the underdog. So with Neptune, we can like really yearn to connect to something bigger than ourselves, but the shadow side is actually escapism and addiction and denial and avoidance, being lost in your fantasy world. It's also about martyrdom and self-sacrifice, and I feel like if you look at the state of the world and the state of the collective unconscious, I feel like Neptune and Pisces really like made a lot of people a little bit crazy, to be honest. People who are like so stuck in their bubble of fantasy, and it's very, very hard to yeah, get through that for some kind of people. It's actually a coping mechanism, and a coping mechanism that is quite strong. A lot of people fled into drugs and also meditation, which is actually a very positive aspect of Neptune in Pisces, because the reality here on Earth, it isn't easy. Like, if we are honest, it is tough, and everyone has their coping mechanisms, but Neptune in Pisces really put an emphasis on drugs and medication, and also like mushrooms and other types of substances. They are all ruled over by Neptune. So yeah, all these aspects are gonna come to the forefront in a very, very big, in a very big way, especially when a planet stations direct or turns retrograde, the energy always gets amplified. So yeah, it's gonna reveal what we've been avoiding and where the collective is really hurting right now, and also where clarity is waiting to break through the fog, and we can feel like the fog gets lifted. What I've noticed in the past few days is that a lot of people, yeah, we're a little bit drained, extra tired. And of course, that's connected to Neptune, because Neptune, we can feel like we're in a collective state of feeling a little bit drunk, or a little bit absent-minded, or a little bit foggy and unclear. But on top of that, we also currently have a Mars square Saturn, and that's now at its highest, like at the top. But the past few days, like, I really noticed it in my environment, that people were like, yeah, it's like you need to have more patience, and things that are normally going like really, really smooth, you need to take in account extra time, and you can feel a little bit more tired and a little bit more demotivated as well. But just know that now we are like through this aspect almost fully, so that will definitely get better. So if we go back to the presentation, we're gonna, yeah, maybe highlight as well what Pisces rules over. So Neptune is, of course, about mysticism and also fantasy, film, art, imagination. Look at Hollywood and everything that went down there. Hollywood, yeah, got a really big reckoning in the last few years. And of course, Pisces represents like this cosmic vast, like this cost fluid ocean, and it's like the 12th sign. It is the end of the zodiac wheel. So it also rules over like needing to have a lot of faith and needing to surrender. It puts a lot of emphasis on mental health and needing healing in that. But it can also definitely really, really enhance your intuition and your psychic sensitivity. It rules over dreams and like completion, endings, and also like a very big karmic release. People here now are like putting an end to a 14-year karmic cycle that is about to like close out. So it can feel a lot. Pisces energy really dissolves the ego. It is about returning to unity and to compassion and also to universal love. But the shadow side is definitely about like, you can feel like your direction in life gets a little bit blurry, and we need to really be mindful of our boundaries, that we don't drift away. That is definitely important. So if we then look at the historical context of Neptune in Pisces, you guys know that I love to look back at what it brought in different eras here on Earth. So in the 1350s, we had the Black Death and also the Grim Reapers. So there's always, when Neptune enters Pisces, this collective fear, a general dissolution of boundaries, and also a very big emphasis on heightened mystical and spiritual interpretations of some kind of crisis that occurs. So back then it aligned with the Black Death. It is one of the most devastating pandemics in human history. Of course, Pisces also rules over our immune system. It is about collective suffering, and also it resembles hospitals. And Neptune always magnifies both compassion and confusion in those areas. So back then there were like these foul mists that people believed carried like the plague, and that is like so classically Neptunian, because it is about like these unseen and invisible forces that are getting blamed for this very bad and severe illness. So yeah, the Grim Reaper became a very, very big topic, and it also like reflects Neptune's energy about like the fear and the uncertainty in the collective unconsciousness. So yeah, society back then was really gripped by like the fear of the invisible, which is like a very, very big threat of Neptune transits, especially in the sign of Pisces. If we don't look a cycle later, around the 1520s, Europe was really shaken by like the Protestant Reformation, and that really upended all these religious authority figures, and it also like triggered intense spiritual upheaval back then. Pisces Neptune, they rule over faith and religion, and also spiritual movements, and also is implicated by like mass consciousness. So yeah, back then it really like amplified all these apocalyptic visions, and a lot of prophecies were made back then, and there were also mass conversions. So yeah, Neptune really dissolves like all these rigid structures, and in this case back then it was about like the dominance of the church, and that lasted for centuries, and then it really saw a big shift. So yeah, there were like new narratives that emerged about like salvation and sin, and like the end times were a very big theme during this time, and yeah, a lot of wars also reflected the shadow side of Neptune, confusion and like fear and mass hysteria, mass delusion, but also like this whole new awakening of personal faith. So we can see some reoccurring themes, definitely. If you don't look at the 1960s, like the late 17th century, that brought another very big Neptune and Pisces wave, and that was marked by the witch hunts. So there was a lot of paranoia. There were also a lot of witnesses about supernatural phenomena. So yeah, Pisces, again, the collective fear and hysteria, and Neptune really blurs the lines between what's real and what's imaginary. We also saw very important reports about glowing wheels in Hamburg, in Germany. So that also reflected the Neptunian tendency about visions and omens and all these mystical signs. But that is most often interpreted like through the lens of a lot of fear. And like the witch hunts, they were like a textbook manifestation of Neptune's shadow side. Like there was a lot of projection of collective anxiety onto scapegoats. Like, when did we see that again during this cycle? A lot of spiritual paranoia and a lot blurred moral boundaries as well. So yet during this time we also saw an increased interest in like everything having to do with mysticism and spiritual experiences. So yeah, there was fear and faith and illusion and vision at once, just like what we've been seeing, like what's been playing out for the last couple of years as well, especially 2020. So then after that we had like the seance era. That was really like the birth of the spiritualist movement. We saw a lot of seances, psychic mediumships arising, and also like this a little bit of a cultural obsession with like contacting the dead people. Back then the Fox sisters became like very important figures, and also symbols of like this Neptune and Pisces era, where like the veil between worlds really felt very, very thin. During that time, we also saw a lot of outbreaks of cholera. So yeah, Pisces connection to this waterborne illness, again, an emphasis on hospital and a collective health crisis. And yeah, a lot of emphasis on like spirit and disease and belief system and mass emotions, and again, like this state about paranoia again that comes up during this transit. So yeah, so a lot of religious experimentation, a very big boom in mysticism, and also this collective theme of mourning and feeling sad. So yeah, there was such a big fascination with the afterlife, and that was like both a coping mechanism and also a reflection of Neptune's archetype that really like dominates in the sign of Pisces. Because if we look at like dispositorship, when like we can like when we look at a birth chart, we can see which planet is strongest, like by essential dignities and all of that, if you're into that. But like all these past years, Neptune in Pisces was the strongest planet. Everyone was reporting back to Neptune, and Neptune was like the boss of the zodiac wheel because it's in its own home sign and was like the strongest planet, like the one that dominates the whole chart. So that is very important, and that's why it gets like the most attention and the most dominating themes during this time. So if we then look at the present cycle, we've seen again a lot of collective experiences that were shaped by these invisible forces. Of course, the pandemic really stands out in this cycle. Neptune is about contagion and also isolation, and again, hospitals, of course. And Pisces is, of course, connected to suffering and healing. So, yeah, the positive side is that it also brought a very, very big spiritual revival. We saw a lot of people getting into astrology and tarot cards, and all these spiritual practices really boomed again. Like now in the Gen Z generation, it's very, very normal to look at your birth chart. It is like no questions asked. And if you compare that to the boomers, that is like such a big difference. And that is, we are having Neptune to, we need to thank Neptune for that. So there are always positive sides as well, of course. And another positive thing I think is that it also brought a very big disillusionment with institutions, especially in the health area. So by that, that was also followed by mass conspiracy movements. We also saw, again, a very big increase in online escapism. It also brought like a lot of UFO disclosure narratives back into the picture. And the shadow side is that although a lot of conspiracy movements are very right and are proven time and time again that they're right even 5 years up front. Like I remember 5 years ago, people were already warning about the digital ID and like the QR code and everything, and they were like, "Oh, you're crazy." Well, look, we are 5 years further now, and the digital ID is already a reality in the UK, and other countries are gonna follow. So yeah, I think a lot of people really woke up. The pandemic was really like a very big catalyst, and people really yeah, having to wake up from the Neptunian spell. So yeah, again, a lot of spiritual revelation, but also delusion with all the people, like the unvaxxed who were the scapegoat, while it's now scientifically proven that there are like the mortality is higher in areas where there are more vaccinated people. There is like a peer-reviewed study that came out, I think 2 weeks ago, really proving that now. So yeah, we are now 5 years 5 years after that, but still there's not enough people who talk about it. It feels like everyone just is in denial still a little bit and wants to forget it and bury it in the Neptune and Pisces realm. But I guess when Neptune shifts over into Aries, there's gonna be a lot more things coming up about that, because Neptune is dissolving and confusion, and then Aries is actually the blood. Aries rules over our blood. Saturn will jump into Aries. Saturn is about blockages, refrainment in the blood. So yeah, I'm not gonna go too deep into that, otherwise my video is gonna get flagged. But you guys probably know what I'm talking about. So yeah, this is gonna be a big theme for the next 3 years for sure. And yeah. The world is again now with Neptune direct navigating the tension between truth and illusion. And yeah, if we look at like the massive rise in the new age spirituality, astrology, witchcraft, and like witchcraft, but like in a positive way, like burning leaves from a tree and writing some manifestation on it. But like if you go on TikTok and you fill out witchcraft, there's like so many, yeah, younger people who are making all these videos about rituals and how to work with certain plants and medicines, and like, yeah, it's like a very big shift if you compare that to 14 years ago. So yeah, we see always a recurring theme in all of these cycles about like spiritual waves that are accompanied by mass escapism and confusion. And we also see a lot of ideological extremism coming from that as well, definitely in regards to the witch trials and cults and like moral panics. And that is like the shadow side of the collective mysticism, because a lot of people are not able to really like tune into the more positive side of Neptune because they are too much in denial. So if we then check at what Neptune and Aries has done so far, because we already saw a very short ingress of Neptune in Aries from March the 30th until October the 22nd. So Neptune in Aries is like a very big vibe shift from drifting passively to really doing, and like getting off of the couch, making your hands dirty and like really doing things instead of like passively scrolling your life away. So yeah, after all these years of passive absorption, this increase really like injected a lot of courage into the collective field. People really started to feel a nudge to like test all of these claims. Even the fact checkers got fact checked. So yeah, I think that's a very positive. I feel a lot of people are having more courage to break some kind of loops, to try life out of like the autopilot and try something new. And Aries is about pioneering, starting something entirely new. It's a very pioneering spirit kind of energy in the sign of Aries. So we saw so many people deleting social media because it's dead, because of all of the AI bots that are taking over social media. I see other people doing a lot of regular detoxes, and the fog didn't really vanish, but I feel like people started to walk through it instead of sleeping in it. So yeah, curiosity is definitely up, and folks and people in general are really like scanning all of the different timelines. They are investigating a little bit more for themselves, and they are like comparing the resources and the facts and the data, and yeah, it's like Neptune's imaginary energy gets infused with Aries initiative, and that really makes sure that like the turning of like the passive energy, of like before, like in 2020 people were like giving their power away and they were like, someone should look into that, and now that's like shifting into, I will look into that. Aries is a sign of I am, and like as an Aries, mostly I'm thinking like, if I do it, I do it better. So it's like a time when we stop giving our power away. It's like returning to us. Like Aries is a sign of leadership, and it is a sign that is a little bit hyper independent, because it's like used to fending for themselves and to fighting for the things they want in their life. And Neptune is of course the collective unconscious, so whenever that shifts, that will be like a very big theme for everyone. So yeah, so we're done with like, someone should check that, and I don't feel like to do like doing that, into like, I am now gonna like really like, how do you say that in English, like stick my teeth in it and like do it myself. But we saw a lot of things bubbling up to the surface, about UFOs, about MK Ultra, Tartaria, new takes on the pyramids. We saw that in March, very closely towards around Neptune's ingress into the sign of Pisces, Aries, sorry, Pisces, cool. and other places are gonna come up again, like Göbekli Tepe and all of the Epstein files, the 13 bloodlines. There is so much information available on all these topics, and there I can feel like now there's a world where everyone is like willing to examine all these saddle stories, like our history that is like completely fake. A lot of people are really like starting to get a hang of it, and then it's like really a very, very big, how do you say that, like a snowball that gets rolling. It's like a snowball effect, and that is gonna come into full force next year during the spring for the northern hemisphere. So yeah, Neptune in Aries, it's like it doesn't give like all the final answers, and I'm not saying that we're gonna see the full truth, especially not now in the next couple of weeks. Neptune at 29 degrees, that is like, yeah, no, we do not know the full story yet. So be careful about like blindly following any narrative that could like completely change in a few months. But now, next year, it will give us like the nerve to ask and to come up for to stand up for ourselves. So, and what I've noticed in the past year is that a lot of our world leaders keep teasing us with the word disclosure. And it's like they dangle all of these breaking news headlines. And it could sound like the keys are being offered to us, but like when the door opens, it feels often just like another state of limbo, like we've seen with the Epstein files as well. So many things got like blocked out of the file, so we still do not know the full truth. And this is also because of the classic Pluto Aquarius power dynamics that are also lingering in the background. So yeah, Pluto and Aquarius meets like Neptune's theater of perception, and all of the, there's like a big performance of like transparency going on, and that can actually be a stronger spell than secrecy itself, because it can feel like the truth while withholding like the core essence. And they promise to expose everything, but what we get is the impression of exposure, and that is such a classic Neptune at 29 degrees. But that is definitely going to change in 2026 and more fully in 2027, but more on that later. So we're now going to look at when Neptune first made its ingress in 2011, to look at what it has brought us in the past 14 years. So it ingressed in April of 2011 and fully in February of 2012. And in 2011, we saw the Southeast Asian floods, especially in Thailand. I know it's happening again in Thailand as we speak. So it actually began in July of 2011, but it actually extended into early of 2012. So yeah, very clear water theme here of Neptune in Pisces, which marks this kind of overflow and nature's force, and also disruption and displaced people. So yeah, we saw it in Jamaica, Sri Lanka, and now with Uranus, that has been shifting back into the sign of Taurus, which was also at 29 degrees. That is like I know all the world leaders who are using geoengineering. I am so sure they have an astrologer and using astrology, because now is like really the time, like from a world leader, like from a dark arts people perspective, now is like the ultimate time to destroy all of these lands, to build their smart cities. Neptune 29 degree, Uranus at its final degrees as well. Uranus will stay at 29 degrees, or like at its final degrees, until April of 2026. So we have not seen the last of it. I'm really hoping that we're not going to see another massive flood happening here with the last direct motion of Neptune and Pisces. And my heart goes out to all the people who are affected by these dark arts people and their malicious plans to destroy their homes and build their smart cities, because that is so heartbreaking. It is really devastating. Another important part here of Neptune in Pisces is that when it re-entered in February of 2012, that like opened a door to a whole new era of like dreams and spiritual fascination. And the very same year, the Large Hadron Collider made one of the most groundbreaking scientific discoveries of our lifetime. It is called the Higgs boson particle, and it's also like called the God particle. Like, how fascinating and like how crazy is this connected to Neptune and Pisces? It's like, so yeah, the God particle was first announced around July 4th of 2012, and it also confirmed the existence of like the Higgs field, which is an invisible field that gives matter its mass. So science found real proof that the invisible and the unseen realms actually shape the visible. So Neptune and Pisces, it dissolved boundaries between reality and illusion and collective consciousness, but science was like doing the same in its own way. And it's also like proving that we can't see still all of the things that we cannot see profoundly shapes everything. So one side of humanity drifted very far into spiritual mysticism and also digital escapism, and the other was literally like piercing or like peering into like the fabric of our entire existence. Two parallel timelines which we also very much see when Neptune is in Pisces. One is a little bit foggy and the other one is very precise, but they both are actually revealing these invisible forces. So yeah, a very big collision of mysticism and technology, also of science and spirituality. But yeah, we also, the negative side is also, of course, spiritual bypassing and media manipulation and like the algorithm really shaping our narrative. But like, yeah, and the Higgs boson discovery here in CERN was such a big mirror that not everything that's unseen is unreal, but also at the same time it gave us lessons that not everything unseen should be blindly believed either. There are always two sides of the coin, and that is like the paradox of Neptune and Pisces that, yeah, that's been like living inside of all of us for the last 14 years. And I also know that like in CERN with the Mandela effect, and they have been messing up our timelines. And I'm not saying that like CERN is like doing good things or anything like that. It's just like an example of the manifestation of Neptune and Pisces. But yeah, maybe I need to do a whole video about CERN because I'm actually quite fascinated by what they're doing there, even though they're like really messing our timeline with our timelines and trying so hard with this antimatter, and they're like really messing things up. So the next big theme is of course also religion. Yeah, religion is like at the most symbolic level for Neptune, and Neptune also has the ability to like dissolve. And here we can see a dissolving of all these traditional institutions, particularly I'm talking about the Vatican. Back in 2012, they began to lose their like untouchable aura, like in previous cycles as well, but it's like even more during this cycle, so don't get me wrong. But what we also saw happening during this cycle, that was in 2013, which was 1 year after Neptune's ingress, something very rare happened. Pope Benedictus, or Pope Benedict the 16th, he resigned, and that was like the first papal resignation in nearly 600 years. So Pope Francis then took the throne, and in the media he's been represented as like a softer, more populist, more humanitarian face of the church, as far as that's possible. But yeah, the shift really mirrored the energy like perfectly. And also A few days after Neptune ingressed back into the sign of Pisces this year, on October the 22nd, that happened. And a few days later, on October the 29th, there was this big announcement of like Buckingham Palace that Prince Andrew has lost all of his honors and titles, and this kind of big happening has not happened in the royal family for over 100 years. And I know when we look at Prince Andrew's, I cannot say Prince Andrew anymore. If we look at Andrew's astrology chart, we can also see strong implications of Neptune. So Neptune dissolves. So yeah, since 2012, we've really witnessed like a steady erosion of like all the centralized religious authority that like fades away. The Vatican and the royal families, of course, they still hold a lot of influence, but look at all the younger generations. They have like increasingly turned to all like a more personal spiritual path. Astrology, energy work, plant medicine, all these new age movements. And Neptune in Pisces really blurs the lines between like religion and spirituality, and belief is actually no longer like dictated from like this pulpit. It is actually streamed through a phone. That was like this big yeah, theme. So that brings me to the next point, that is social media and fake accounts. Because of course Neptune rules over our screens, the media, about the images and our dreams, and also the collective imagination. So yeah, the past 13 years, the algorithms have really learned how to shape our emotional responses. They've really like became a master, and then like they figured out what makes us cry, what makes us feel angry, what gives us hope, what triggers us to scroll longer. And that is like really the fog of Neptune. This is really like a distortion that makes fiction feel like facts. And we've particularly witnessed that in 2020 and the years that followed that. And of course, not all illusions are inherently evil. They show us where we are vulnerable to suggestion. Of course, the narratives that got pushed during the whole pandemic were, of course, evil. We all know that. But yeah, Neptune reveals how easily reality can actually be bent by narratives. And the stationing direct now, it is not about like fearing all of this manipulation. It is actually being consciously aware, and it's about seeing through it. And once the fog is lifted and everything becomes visible, it no longer controls you. And I think that is the big gift of Neptune and Pisces that we had, even though some people like really got completely lost in the fog. We cannot criticize them. The south node is in Virgo. We need to like really focus on the north node in Pisces, and that is like show compassion and unconditional love while still holding up and remaining our boundaries with Saturn and Pisces. We cannot give our power away to these people, but it's really not wise to like yeah, give your energy away, or like your energy certainly gets drained by people who are like totally caught up into the illusion. So yeah, heeft geen zin. I don't know how to translate. Okay, so in the early 2010, yeah, early 2010, somewhere like that, a little bit before Neptune in Pisces, that actually, that year marked a very, very big turning point and how we experience reality through our screens. Then in 2011, Snapchat launched, and yeah, that really like revolutionized by how people share all these fleeting, intimate moments as well. 2012, I think Tinder came out, and then also in 2012, Facebook and Instagram like consolidated, and yeah, that is like that was a moment of like a very big rise in like visual storytelling and also instant gratification, and also the moment that our attention span started to get messed up. So yeah, this transit, it dissolves and blurs the lines between what's real and what's actually curated, and it's actually, these platforms were engineered to keep us in some kind of a loop, and a loop of like this feedback that is like very very dopamine driven, the endless scrolling, the likes, the swipes. It's actually been creating like this collective stage of like collective state of like digital intoxication. Social media became like this global trance. Like sometimes I see people even scrolling while they are like biking, and I'm like, how do you even do that? Or like people scrolling in the car while it's very very busy on the road, and like I do not understand it. Like, does it really cannot wait? Is it so important to answer? Like, I'm like, I'm just not getting it. But people are so addicted to their phone, and even I have a phone addiction, but I will never like scroll while I'm on my bike. It's like crazy. So yeah, now in 2025, we really see a big emphasis on like the psychological effects of this era, and this social media driven dopamine era. The proof is like undeniable. So yeah, over a decade of like this dopamine charged content streams, that has really led to like this shortening of attention span, and everything that comes into focus now is like in this 15-second burst videos, the constant flood of images and opinions and news. It has really created a culture where depth is often like sacrificed for like immediacy. And also like the perception is really shaped by a more emotional reaction than actually reflection. It's like we do not have any time anymore to reflect, because we're constantly overwired and like overbelasting, like overstimulating our brain. So it's like it's really a time to take a little bit distance from that. We are really like swimming in this digital ocean where like all the boundaries between information and illusion and also entertainment are really like very much blurred. And with all these bots and all these AIs into the mix and these deep fakes, and like it's leaving many people addicted to the flow, but very much disconnected from their own inner stillness. And actually, to get the positive side of Neptune and Pisces, we need to have time for our own inner stillness. And I know the dark arts people are very, very aware of that. So how smart of them to really launch a digital product that keeps us out of this state and really in a state of limbo. That is why so many people lost their minds over the last few years. And it's funny, but actually not funny, but it's interesting to see that your algorithm is based on your opinions. So everyone opens their phone and is like convinced that they are right. That is like very very striking to me. And it just like it infuses everyone's conviction to the point where it's like not healthy anymore, and everyone is so convinced they're right, and it's such a divide and conquer tactic, and it's like something we really need to distance ourselves from. So yeah, and also on top of that, we also have Pluto and Aquarius. So Neptune dissolves and creates confusion, but Pluto exposes and transforms, and these two are like working in a tandem. With Pluto and Aquarius, there's like this increasing control over the digital space. Algorithms are so much designed not to entertain, but to really steer the collective emotions, and a lot of people fall so hard, like they fall prey to it and they cannot see it. And that is like the fog of Neptune. They are like not able to see and look through it. They are so convinced that this is the truth. But luckily, like I said, there are two timelines. One timeline is very aware of that and is very, very conscious about that. And the other timeline, if they haven't seen it up until now, I'm afraid that it's too late. So we just leave now and leave. We let them live and do their thing. We do not let them drain our energy. So the combination of Pluto and Aquarius and Neptune in Pisces is very, very potent because one manipulates the structure and the other manipulates the perception. So they create like the perfect storm for this mass programming that's been going on. But luckily, Pluto is out of bounds for the next 9 years. We saw Pluto out of bounds for the first time this year from the end of August till the end of December. End of November, excuse me. And that is like a sneak peek into what is going to happen over the next 9 years. He's going out of bounds to the south. This is always a time when the power returns back to the people. And we've like really witnessed that during the past few months with all the governments that fell and like the younger generation protesting and like demanding to have their rights given back to them. And like whenever Uranus is going to shift into Gemini fully by April of 2026, Gemini rules over the younger people, the younger generation. Uranus is uprising, so and protests and revolutions. But Pluto in Aquarius connected to like the French Revolution and American Revolution as well. We are in for like a very, very interesting time for the next 9 years. So don't get scared if there's like a lot of volatile energy that is gonna get projected onto Earth. We are like in a massive cleaning and like in a massive consciousness of upgrade. And like in the next 9 years, a lot of surprises will come. And like I know a lot of people who are older and they're saying to me, Astrid, there will never be a revolution. And I'm like, okay, well, let's wait and see. But during like the birth process and like the peristalsis of all these new cycles that are about to start, or like all these new signs that are getting a lot of energy by the outer planets, that is not easy. So it's gonna take some time before we like fully are in this energy, and we need to move through it. And Pluto will be in Aquarius until 2043. There is definitely still gonna be some difficulties with that, but still to be here on Earth and such a special particular moment in time in the astrology, I'm like very, very grateful that I'm here to witness all of that, because we are not all this lucky. So yeah, awareness breaks the spells. By naming the patterns that we are seeing here, we disarm its power, and the transit is really here a very big invitation to use technology in a conscious way and not as a sleeping drug anymore. Enough of that. Pluto and Aqua, yeah, the dynamic is definitely intensified. And because Pluto is in Aquarius, and Aquarius, like Uranus, belongs to Aquarius, because that's the ruler of Aquarius, and Uranus in Gemini will have a way more potent and actually destructive effect because of Pluto in Aquarius. So that's why this Uranus in Gemini transit will be more shaky and more volatile than others because of Pluto and Aquarius. So they like talk to each other. So yeah, the algorithm really has become this invisible architect of perception, and Pisces dissolves the reality into like this collective sea of content, and like Pluto in Aquarius really adds a lot of power and control and actually deep systemic influence to that ocean right now. And the algorithms no longer just reflect our own interests, they actually shape them right now. So they are like subtly really curating what we see, what we believe in, and what we fear through all these personalized news feeds. The information isn't neutral at all, and it's really engineered to keep us engaged and polarized and emotionally reactive to one another. So yeah, don't fall for that. Pluto, like all the Plutonian power that is hidden behind like the Aquarian technology is going to become massively visible of next year. There's going to be mass influence through these invisible system. And we already see that now with chat control, that is going to come into effect. I know they like had to postpone it, but it is going to come through. So yeah, just be careful, and maybe it's a lesson that we should not blindly trust our devices, and maybe it's also a push towards being more present in real life with one another. If we cannot say anything uncensored anymore through our DMs, we are gonna be really pushed to meet up with one another again. And I actually think that is a positive aspect of this dark arts energy. So to every con, there's always a pro. So try to keep focusing on like the good things that it will like bring into our lives. And do not fear their control. And do not give your power away to the control systems. Just like leave your phone aside and just call someone and say, hey, let's meet up and drink some tea. Of course, if you're living far away from one another, that's a whole different story, but I think you're getting the picture. So yeah, don't be like nudged and molded by the unseen digital forces, and see through the manipulation of the human psyche that they're like really trying to engage in. And it's been in regards to health for the past few years, and it's gonna shift towards the theme of war, especially next year, especially February with the eclipse in Aquarius squaring Uranus, and definitely in April during the stellium in Aries. So the next big theme, of course, is that spirituality became very mainstream, and that has a lot of pros and cons if you ask me, because yeah, look at like plant medicine and psychedelics that became very mainstream. Once that was like an underground medicine for healing, and that really turned into a whole cultural movement, and also in many corners of the world, and I'm like referring to Bali and Costa Rica, that like really became this spiritual aesthetic, and people weren't just like exploring consciousness, many were like trying to escape it. And that is like the paradox in it, because it's difficult to like draw the line in that, and then where one begins and where the other stops. But like it became very trendy to float away from reality, to be like this high vibe only, to really use all of this chic spiritual language as like a very big defense armor, rather than like a path to truth. That is the shadow side of Neptune and Pisces. So yeah, it became all very popular, but it wasn't always used with the right intention. Escapism really became something that got celebrated. Like victimhood got really spiritualized in the past few years, and like as an Aries, I hate victimhood. So people started saying things like, oh, but I am too evolved for this. Like I have like overrisen, like overstaying, like I am too evolved for that. And like, oh my God, I'm like, I only align with the good things in life, and I only align with the good vibes. And all of these people were like massively ignoring their own shadow work. Real healing really asks us to face a lot of pain, and spirituality also teaches us that, yeah, we do not decorate like the wound with a lot of glitters. That is really the dark side of Neptune. Fog and delusion and deceiving, that is like being disguised as I'm so light and I am so spiritually evolved. So yeah, your power, or like our power, really lies in like choosing presence over the spiritual performance. And that is why discernment matters most than ever right now. And like look at the scrutiny that we're seeing in like the spiritual sector. And like I am all about spirituality, I'm all about meditation and like plant medicine, but then more like in drops. I'm not referring to any psychedelics. I'm really referring to like plant medicine and homeopathics and Ayurveda and all of these things. Like I'm massively for that, because like that is the real medicine, not the manufactured chemical bullshit that they try to stuff through our throats. But yeah, this was really a very, I think it's a sign of like a collective craving for more meaning, and I think that is again another very positive sign. So yeah, everything is so deeply layered that it's sometimes so difficult to really form some kind of opinion about one theme, because there are multiple layers that we need to confront and look into. But like between 2011 and 2012, yoga, meditation, breath work, all of this holistic healing that really like exploded into the mainstream, and I'm like very, very grateful for that. Like all the things that once were considered like woo-woo became like completely normalized, and I really love that, because yeah, people are really searching for a deeper meaning and something beyond the material world. That is like the higher potential of Neptune and Pisces. It's about oneness and transcendence and really dissolving the illusion of separation. But yeah, be careful of escapism, of like these fake gurus like Deepak Chopra that we're seeing right now, all of the esoteric scams that came with that, all of the spiritual bypassing, like yeah, people who were just like stuck in their own fantasy world, and then other people that were selling like these manifestation courses, but they were making no money. And yeah, now there's really, since March of 2023, a lot of exposing of who is really spiritual and who is just like putting up a front. So there's a thin line between this divine inspiration and like dangerous illusion, and that has been swimming side by side for the past 14 years. Very beautiful energy, but also very, very deeply confusing energy that gets accompanied by that. So I was already talking a little bit about Saturn and Pisces. So here we can see an image of that. So yeah, I already touched a little bit on that. In March of 2023, the fog of Neptune really started to meet like this wall of consequence of Saturn. So Saturn is structure and accountability and also responsibility. And in Pisces, it doesn't destroy spirituality, it actually tests it. It tests if the foundation is, yeah, fully stable enough. It really also separates like the grounded mystic from like the performance artists that were amongst the Neptune and Pisces energy. It really like started to fire a lot of questions at like, is this real what this person is saying? Is it helping anyone, or is it just simply helping the person that is like trying to sell some kind of things? Is it just another illusion that is dressed as light? And many people who really built their identities on all this spiritual branding are now like facing a lot of hard questions and had a lot of tough crises to go through in the last 2 years and a half. So yeah, a lot of scrutiny around gurus and spiritual influencers and also healers and the whole manifestation culture. The collective really had to learn to discern between the difference between like, yeah, the true spiritual people and the ones who are just solely doing it for entertainment. So Saturn is also always going to check what's real inside, and this combination is quite uncomfortable, but it's really necessary if you want to like spiritually mature. So in February, Saturn is going to shift over. I am guessing it was the 14th of February, if I'm correct. Saturn will also join Neptune and Pisces and Aries. Oh my god. So then we're going to like the final passage through Pisces, and I'm gonna put it on full screen because if you look long enough into this image, you're gonna really feel the effects of Neptune and Pisces, and I really like love this image. So yeah, the last passage. So we've seen this reoccurring energy that I've like now all talked about happening since the end of October, and we're gonna see it until the 26th of January, because then Neptune will forever in our lifetimes leave the sign of Pisces. So yeah, that is like the last visit in the next 165 years. A very rare threshold moment. The final wave before like the collective tide really, really turns very strongly. So it brings a lot of closure, a lot of reckoning. We are now collectively like revisiting, like in the collective consciousness in the background, everything that like began around 2012. All of the mass media addiction, all of the spiritual confusion, but this is actually a very big cleansing. This is like the last long night of a long dream. And guys, the alarm is set. It's gonna wake you up in January of 2026, a new dawn is coming and we must wake up very, very consciously. Emotions now can really surge like tides. Old confusion can rise up again. Old illusions may resurface. People might feel a little bit overwhelmed by what seems like chaos, but it's actually not chaos. It is a very big release that is about to happen now, or is already happening right now. So everything that you have been numbing down, everything that's been hidden beneath the surface, it wants to be acknowledged. And this is actually a collective emotional detox that's going on right now. So don't give up when it gets foggy. Really trust that the mist precedes the sunrise that is going to happen next year. So yeah, after January of 2026, Neptune won't return to Pisces for over like a century and a half. And the next Neptune and Pisces era will actually unfold during the age of Aquarius. So that will totally redefine how humanity connects and thinks and shares its ideas. And that's going to have such a massive new implication, but we will not be here to witness that. So yeah, this is a very big portal of closure, and actually one last invitation to choose consciousness over deception. So yeah, it is not about perfection, it is about awakening, ripple by ripple. And something else that I want to warn a little bit for, or like want to make you aware about, is mass formation psychosis. And for you guys who have been following me for a while, you already know that I've already touched a little bit on this topic. But mass formation psychosis is actually the idea of like this, yeah, it is actually like a concept that got formulated or like got invented by a Belgian psychologist, Matthias de Smet. I like really love his brain, the way how he puts things into motion and into words, and how he just like makes people aware with his smartness is like something I really look up to. Like, I do not have a lot of idols, but I really like what he has to say. So he explains how like a sense of isolation and loneliness, and also in combination with like a lack of meaning in life, can really lead people to embrace all of these illusory narratives that are actually supplied to them by all the power structures. And that makes, that makes these people feel like life is meaningful again. Like an example, during the pandemic, there was like a snitch line for people who were like getting out of their bubble, hosting gatherings at home, and then the neighbors called the snitch line, and suddenly they had a feeling that they did something meaningful today. And like their moral compass was like, wow, I did something good today because I took care of humanity. But they were like completely lost in the Neptunian spell. So yeah, we've seen this over and over again in recent years, as like people have blindly embraced all of these bizarre narratives that are getting supplied to them by the mainstream media and also the government, without any sense of nuance or discernment. And believe me, guys, it is still going on because Neptune is still at 29 degrees. If there's any planet that we can associate with mass formation psychosis, it is actually Neptune. We saw the emerge around the pandemic, in which people were really like scared and alone, really lost their minds, and really consented to things that they would never agree to otherwise. Now with Neptune and Aries, the great risks that we're gonna face now is like the emergence of this psychosis around war. So the powers that be right now are actually going to do everything that they can to really encourage such a new mass formation psychosis, because that's what they do, whether that's like in war and all the wars that are already going on, Ukraine, Russia, or the Middle East, or like somewhere else, because we're going to see more wars popping up definitely from February to April. Definitely April with the Aries stellium, but they actually want more wars, and they want us supporting them. Like, how many people I know here in Belgium who like signed up for like a military education, or how do you say it, a military course here with the paras in Belgium, and I'm like, oh my god, like, are you really like? And that is like another sign, like, I'm gonna fight for my country. And people, how they are really convinced that they are doing something good. It is cognitive dissonance at its highest level, eh? Because why would you support their wars? They are trying to steal massive big money here that is actually Ursula von der Leyen is trying to steal a lot of Russian money that is actually here on Belgium in Belgian banks and on Belgian bank accounts here. Our Prime Minister Bart de Wever is actually trying very, very hard to stop it. Like there will be something behind it as well, but like I would have never imagined saying some good things about this guy. But yeah, still I feel, and if I look at the astrology, I think Ursula is gonna succeed, and then it's gonna be a very, very bad turning point. And not to scare you, but yeah, I can see it in astrology, and I hope I'm wrong. I do not want to manifest it, but maybe I need to, yeah, talk more about this in another video. I'm gonna prepare the astrology for Europe of 2026 and beyond, because I've got a lot of questions about that, and I'm already like been preparing that a little bit. But yeah, don't fall for this war scam. Don't consent to the wars. The psychosis is gonna resurface in the themes of war, because all the war-driven collective illusions are gonna increase whenever Neptune shifts over in Aries. So I'm sorry if I'm like highlighting a little bit of the more negative aspects. Of course, it's gonna have positive aspects as well. We're gonna see more spiritual and more empathic, and yeah, more empathy amongst world leaders, because Aries is a sign of leadership. It's a sign of pioneering, and Neptune is gonna infuse its more higher potential also in the sign of Aries. So I don't want to get too negative about this as well, but more on that later in my Neptune in Aries video that I'm gonna post soon as well. So something else I need to mention. No, I think that was it, and I think I've said enough. So yeah, I'm gonna start reading the 12 signs, but I'm gonna take a little break. Okay, so before we start the reading for the 12 signs, I quickly want to touch upon how to work with the energy. So grounding, walking barefoot is going to be of utmost importance in the next couple of weeks. Write down the messages you receive through your dreams, and do some dream interpretation that can really help you to let go of this 14-year cycle that's closing out. Really focus on the flow state, and like check in with yourself, and really look at how you get into the flow state. Like, for example, for me, ceramics, really like playing with clay, and like just doing something with my hands and creating something. Of course, when you do ceramics, it's like with clay and a natural resource, and then that is also a very good way for grounding your energy. And heart coherence is also very important. You can achieve that through breath work as well. Look some things up in regards to that. That is also a very profound way to like deal with the Neptunian foggy energy, energetic boundaries, and really like looking at who is draining your energy, and trying to distance yourself a little bit from that. Do not go and like, by distancing, I mean, you do not have to like cut people out of your lives. People who drain your energy are mostly in need of some kind of help. So look at how you can help those people without losing yourself in the process. We do not want to go into martyrdom at all, because then it's the more negative manifestation of Neptune. But you can like really practice on this unconditional love, but in particularly towards yourself, and yeah, compassion for other people, but most importantly for yourself, for maybe feeling a little bit less productive, feeling a little bit more tired or a little bit more uncertain right now. Just know that it's normal, and these are just a sign of the times. So be very, very compassionate and easy on yourself. And I think self-love and water rituals and taking baths that are very, very cleansing with Epsom salt, or put some crystals in your bath. But be careful with certain crystals in your bath, because sometimes they dissolve in water and we do not want to dissolve our precious crystals. So really check which ones you can put in your bath. But definitely cleansing time, going to the spa, the sauna, all these things can really help you to detoxify, because Neptune in Pisces is also about detoxing. So that is also a good way to work with the energy. But definitely all the spiritual practices, use them to get more enlightened and not to escape. But definitely meditation is going to be very helpful as well. So yeah, with that being said, we're going to start the readings for the 12 signs. So I'm gonna be a little bit more short on this, because I've also put out a video about Neptune ingressing back into the sign of Pisces. I'm gonna link that video below, and you can look at that video if you want more information for your sign. So we're gonna start with my fellow Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You're gonna have Neptune stationing direct in Pisces for the last time in 14 years in your 12th house. So for you, it activates the hidden universe within you. It's like the part of your identity in the 12th, like it has been really growing silently in the background since 2011, and it's gonna like really totally reshape your identity from the spring for the northern hemisphere of 2026. So the past 14 years you've been dissolving all these old fears, stories in regards to shame, patterns of isolation, and also like the belief that everything must be done alone. I know, my fellow dear Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising, I know you guys are sometimes a little bit hyper independent. That is something that you can let go of right now. The 12th house is also very humbling. It is about surrender and vulnerability, and also about spiritual trust. So yeah, you really learned how to let go of control and also allow life to really guide you, even if you felt a little bit invisible or lost in the fog. I know a lot of you Aries have felt very invisible or very isolated, and that is a big 14-year cycle that is about to come to an end. I also want to note here that the 12th house is also self-sabotaging behavior, but it's also about hidden enemies. And ask yourself, have you been your own worst hidden enemy? That is also something that you can let go of during this time. So this moment here, it also reminds you that all your spiritual strength, it was never meant to be loud. And I know you Aries are quite loud, but it's actually built in silence behind the scenes in the 12th house. So yeah, also your compassion for yourself got so much deepened during the past few years, and a lot of you can feel like the armor is gonna come off, and the invisible forces really became undeniable in your life. So when Neptune is gonna slip into Aries as of January of 2026, everything underground and from the background and from the hidden places and like behind closed doors, everything is going to start to surface. So yeah, if you've been suffering from people deceiving you, that can really surface during this time in order to be fully acknowledged and let go of. So just know, whenever it shifts into Aries, that your presence is going to become very much infused with all of the wisdom of your trials of the past 14 years. So the self that you became in secret in the 12th house is now ready to step fully forward as of next year of 2026. So my dear Aries, your true awakening begins when the world finally sees the power that you've already met within the dark. And maybe I need to take a card for today, because Neptune is the planet of spirituality. So yeah, let's take a card for my dear Aries. So let's see what the message is for you guys. Oh my God, this is like incredible because Neptune in the 12th house in Pisces, it doesn't get stronger than that. And look what I've got for you. It's like this says the mist. And it says, trust your inner compass and be led from within. Like, how beautiful is this message for you guys? So, yeah, it's like just a very big confirmation of the mist that is going to clear out, the mist that is going to get dissolved as soon as Neptune enters your sign. You're going to feel like your intuition that got strengthened over the 14 years. It's going to get infused in your identity. People are going to come up to you for more compassion and spiritual wisdom. And yeah, your moral compass really got very much attuned to the higher frequencies of the spiritual realms. So congratulations, my dear Aries. A very big, difficult transit is about to come to an end. And I'm not saying that it's going to be easy peasy for you next year, because with Saturn and Neptune making the big conjunction in your sign, a lot of your built-in rigid structures are going to get dissolved and are going to be replaced with a whole new form of identity, and people are really going to look at you and see that you're going to be more matured, more dedicated, going to show more. Yeah, you will be just like totally transformed, but Saturn is going to add so much structure in your sign as well. So Saturn is, of course, difficult trial and errors, and I'm not saying that all of the trials are going to be over. I do not want to like spiritually bypass you, but Saturn is going to make sure, together with Neptune, that it's going to become more clear what you've been fighting for, and the road ahead is going to be paved with a whole new layout. Saturn is going to totally, and Neptune, restructure your whole identity, and by that your expression, and people are going to totally look different to you. So yeah, the mist, trust your compass and be led from within. That is so beautiful. So good luck, my dear Aries. We have Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So Taurus, for you, Neptune stations direct in Pisces for the last time in your 11th house. So Neptune has been dissolving your friendships for the past 14 years. Actually also dissolving, yeah, how you look at friendship and how you fit into community. And it's also about belonging and your long-term aspirations and dreams as well. So a lot of my dear Tauruses have learned that not every group is actually your crowd. Sometimes you thought you had bumped into like-minded people only to be like disillusioned later on. So not every dream is also shared by the people who are closest around you. Some friendships have really like drifted away like sea foam, and like others have like appeared by divine timing. So you've definitely been clarifying who supports your future and who actually drains your energy. And the stationing direct now makes your soul more aligned connections, like all the like-minded people and your like-minded groups. It's like you cannot longer deny the truth about that. So yeah, all the illusions around your group acceptance actually fall away, and you really see who was there just for the ego and the status, and who was there with good intentions. So yeah, your role in the collective is going to become more spiritually infused. And look at yourself. Have you been deceiving who you truly are in groups of people, or have groups of people been deceiving who they actually are? So yeah, it always works vice versa. So Neptune is going to enter Aries on January 26th, so you may step back slightly from all the social noise to actually start to reclaim your vision in the 12th. So a new dream community is actually forming, and it's going to be one that is going to be more based on empathy and purpose, and not like the expectations of society. So You can listen to Aries rising to actually know how Neptune will affect you in the upcoming shift when it's going to enter Aries, and it will be occupying your 12th house. So yeah, my dear Taurus, you are actually no longer searching for a place to belonging. You are actually becoming the space where belonging is going to be created from within. So let's draw a card for my dear Tauruses. So the card that I'm getting for you, the Water Oracle, psychic abilities, acting on visions, it's destined. So that is really, really beautiful. And it's also portraying to the transit of Neptune that is going to enter your 12th house. And then it's going to definitely strengthen your psychic abilities, because Neptune in the 12th, it is about destiny. Neptune, the 12th house, it has like a very heightened working in the 12th house. So yeah, definitely a major upgrade in your psychic abilities. So good luck, my dear Taurus. All right. We have Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You're going to have the Neptune stationing direct in Pisces for the last time in your 10th house. So the 10th house is, of course, about your career, and it's also about your reputation. And yeah, your public image has really undergone like, yeah, through like a sea of change since 2011. Neptune could have blurred like all the traditional definitions of success and what that means to you, and actually calling you to a new path that is more shaped by your intuition and also about creativity. Maybe you want to infuse more spiritual meaning and creativity into your career trajectory. So sometimes that could have meant that you were a little bit confused, or you were drifting away and not knowing where to really go to in your career. And other times it also meant like breakthroughs that felt like destiny. So yeah, you've really had to learn that your professional identity, it isn't only built on strategy, but it is actually built by the alignment of your deeper calling and your soul purpose. So the final stationing direct here, it's going to show you the truth behind your ambition. So are you still chasing approval, or are you actually working on your purpose? And what you contribute to the world is becoming more clear and softer, and can become more compassionate. Yet, don't underestimate yourself, more powerful than ever before. So when Neptune steps into Aries next year in January, your legacy becomes more actionable. You're gonna stop dreaming of like the impact, and gonna start leading more with your soul, and it's gonna then infuse your friend groups, Neptune. So you can listen to Taurus rising to see how Neptune will affect you in the 11th house. So yeah, my dear Gemini, your career is no longer like this ladder you need to climb. It is actually now a bridge between who you are and who the world needs you to be. So let's take a card for my dear Geminis. So the card that I'm getting for you, the Rainbow, sweet relief, new beginnings, a new way forward. So yeah, I guess for a lot of my Geminis, it's going to be a huge relief to have Neptune out of an angular house, because in the 10th it is quite strong and quite out there. An angular house always affects, yeah, your identity, the first, your 4th, your home, your 7th, your relationships, and your 10th. It makes a very big square to all of these angular houses, so it has a lot of potency and can create a lot of confusion in all these areas. So it's going to be a very sweet relief to have it out of an angular house. So by then, if I'm not mistaken, let me quickly check. Yeah, whenever it enters the 11th, it will be all about your friend groups and the people you belong to and your community, but definitely will not have such a strong implication in the 10th. So yeah, the confusion around your career is gonna fall away or get dissolved, and there's a new beginning in your career path and in your your leadership role within the world. So yeah, a new way forward and all of that, and people are gonna really come up to you and ask, they're gonna see you more as like this implemented spirituality in your leadership role. Neptune in the 10th could also give in a little bit confusion in regards to one of the parents, and that can also start to slowly fade away. So good luck, my dear Gemini. We have Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So you're going to have the last Neptune stationing direct in Pisces in your 9th house. So yeah, Neptune, it has been like entangling your belief system, not just what you think, but also what you trust in. And since 2011, your worldview has really like shifted through all of these spiritual awakenings that could have be triggered by courses or like travels abroad, people from a different cultural background that could have like shifted something in your belief system. It's also about like intuitive experiences, because philosophical and religious topics are also found in the 9th house. And it's definitely about having faith for the future as well. So yeah, you may have like surrendered to outdated philosophies and maybe inherited a little bit of dogma, and also discovering by that the truth is actually lived through a lot of experience and not only told to you, but like all the gurus or all the teachers. Maybe some of you could have been a little bit confused by gurus or teachers. For others, if Neptune made a very beautiful aspect, you could have get very, very enlightened by gurus or teachers. But now the stationing direct is going to sharpen your inner compass. Your illusions are going to fall away, especially the beliefs that are actually rooted in fear rather than in wisdom. That is going to get dissolved. So your spiritual philosophies become more clearer and also more compassionate. And with Neptune moving into Aries, those beliefs are really going to crystallize into conviction, and then you will begin walking your truth and not merely contemplating and reflecting about it. So you can listen to Gemini Rising to know what Neptune in the 10th house is going to be doing for you in the next 14 years. So religion and spirituality is no longer something you look up to. Now that you've learned so much, it's actually something that you've risen up to meet, like the universal higher power and a higher wisdom. So that is actually very, very beautiful. So let's see what I've got for my dear Cancer. So for you, I'm getting metamorphosis, embrace transformation, things are different now. So yeah, definitely your whole belief system got rewired with Neptune in the 9th house, and now that is like what you believe becomes truth. So I know in the beginning of this transit 14 years ago, you could have like really struggled with certain beliefs and convictions, but like Neptune all silently dissolved them in the background. So you've gone through this huge metamorphosis in regards to your own inner truth. And now when Neptune shifts into the 10th house, you will be able, by those beliefs, really attracting a new career trajectory that is going to get more infused with all of these spiritual themes, and also is going to be based more on empathy and compassion. And maybe you will be seen as a very big spiritual leader in some kind of way, because you've gone through all the courses and like learning a lot about Neptune in the 9th. So good luck, my dear Cancer. Okay, the next one is Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So how is it going, my dear fellow fire signs? You're gonna have Neptune stationing direct in Pisces for the last time in your 8th house. So since 2011, Neptune has really been dissolving all of the outdated power dynamics. Could have been around trust, around intimacy, loss, and also particularly about financial entanglements. Could have been about your mortgage, debt, investments, taxes, and you really had to face a lot of vulnerability. You had to really learn to release control, and also uncovering all these hidden fears around dependency and betrayal. So you need to confront issues around shared resources, all these emotional enmeshment, and or maybe about the shadow of your own desire. And The final station of Neptune direct is really going to reveal what needs to be forgiven and what needs to be released. So you might begin to recognize all the sacredness of your intense transformation in the 8th. Now you might start to understand that some losses that you had to go through are actually, they were a very big liberation, and you're going to see your vulnerability more as a very big inner strength. So when Neptune is going to shift into Aries, you're going to rise from the depths of the 8th house with like a renewed kind of passion and also more courage. And you're going to move from this internal excavation in the 8th into more of an unconscious empowerment in the 9th. You're gonna learn so much about, like, as soon as it enters the 9th, you need to take like a lot of spiritual courses, because your belief system is gonna get fully rewired by Neptune in the 9th. And you can listen to Cancer Rising if you want to know a little bit more about what Neptune in the 9th is gonna do for you. So yeah, all the deepest waters that you've survived now, they're gonna become like the fire that is gonna propel you into the most fearless life for you, my dear Leos. Especially with Jupiter about to enter in July in the sign of Leo. Good times are ahead of you, and I know it wasn't easy. Definitely not with Saturn in the 8th. Saturn in the 8th, it is such a party pooper. So yeah, better times are ahead of you, my dear Leo. So let's see what the cards are having to say for you. So a card for my dear Leos. Oh, the ripple effect. Part of something bigger, details are being taken care of. So yeah, all of the details are being taken care of. All of the things that you've maybe been obsessing a little bit about with Saturn and Neptune in the 8th is now all gonna get dissolved, and all the work that you've done, like this deep inner transformation of the 8th, that is gonna cause such a big ripple effect in your whole belief system, that is gonna get a massive upgrade in the next few years. So yeah, the ripple effect, all the deep inner work that you've done is now gonna create a ripple and a wave outwards, and it's gonna be very, very positive as soon as Jupiter enters your sign soon. A half year, that's not a long time. So hold on to everything and just know that better times are definitely ahead. So good luck, my dear Leo. We have Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So my fellow Virgo Risings, how are you guys doing? Neptune is gonna station direct in Pisces for the very last time in your 7th house. Thank the Lord for this, because that is not easy. Because since 2011, Neptune has really been reshaping your perception of partnerships. It's been like blurring all the boundaries. It's been like exposing all of the projections, and also like dissolving all the fantasies about who others should be to you. And you've learned that love cannot be controlled, it cannot be perfected, and it cannot be analyzed. As much you would have liked to do that, my dear Virgo, if you tried to do that in the past 14 years, I'm pretty sure that you've hit a big wall in that. So you may also have faced a lot of disappointments where like your compassion became a little bit self-denial, or where like idealization of another person really masked the incompatibility. Rose-colored glasses in love, they're now gonna come off. So and I know they have been coming off since March of 2023, whenever Saturn entered that house as well. But now it will be easier to really look through the fog in all these regards. So when Neptune enters Aries in the 8th, relationships are gonna become a little bit more brave and more honest. You're no longer gonna merge to escape, but you're gonna dive more into connection to expand. So yeah, you can listen to Leo Rising to know more about Neptune entering your 8th, because that is going to be a profound, deep inner transformation about your shared resources, your financial or sexual enmeshments. So yeah, the love that you've been searching for really begins where illusion ends, and authenticity is gonna get awakened very, very strongly. So let's look at what the cards are saying for you, my dear Virgo. So, the card that I'm getting for you, oh my god, the Pearl. Alchemy, the reward at the end from grit to grace. And actually, this is one of my favorite cards of the entire deck because it's like you've been grinding and grounding in the relationship zone, and now you're like ready to collect the pearl. You've been like searching and all of these vessels under the sea, having to hold your breath, looking for answers, searching for the truth in your relationships. And now you're gonna find the long lost pearl in some kind of way. So yeah, alchemy, the reward at the end. I think a lot of you guys are going to feel so relieved with Neptune and Saturn finally leaving the 7th house, and you can like really attract a partner because Saturn has been blocking. And as soon as Saturn leaves the 7th house, there will be more room for new, more conscious connections that are gonna come forward, that are gonna be based on mutual trust. And with Saturn and Neptune in the 8th, it's gonna be such a big transformation and everything shared, resources, emotions, sexuality. Yeah, this is gonna be you're probably gonna meet someone that you can become a little bit obsessive about, and that's really gonna show you a lot of your trauma triggers inside. But it's also a person that is gonna help you heal within the 8, and someone that can help you give your power back. So that is actually very positive. The Pearl. I love this card so much. I'm very happy because I'm a Virgo rising as well, and like the pearl at the end, the reward at the end from grit to grace, that is actually a very positive card for you guys. I love the pearl. So yeah, I would say good luck, but definitely it's in the cards for you. So the next one is Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So Libra, Neptune is gonna station direct in Pisces for the very last time, and it's gonna do that in your 6th house. So since 2011, Neptune has been dissolving all these old patterns around your work, your job, your pets, your health, your service towards other people, and you may have experienced confusion in that and a little bit of burnout with that, especially since March of 2023 with Saturn occupying the 6th as well. So yeah, confusion at work, confusion about colleagues, spiritual lessons about your self-worth that are actually linked to your productivity. Also, your daily routines may have resisted some structure, actually to the point where you've kind of felt lost in all the dealings in regards with your work and your health. But it's actually been pushing you to honor the daily flow of life instead of trying to perfect it in the 6th. So if you guys have been struggling with your health, it could have been very difficult to diagnose. It could have also be very difficult to find a job that actually gives a lot of meaning and purpose. Because if you could have felt confused at work and like difficult to motivate yourself unless you had a very spiritual job, then you could have flourished massively in that. And the final direct station here is going to reveal how self-care must be very, very soulful and not just functional in the 6th. So yeah, you see that the emotional and also spiritual roots of your physical habits, how that's now been shaping you for the past 14 years. And compassion needed to be replaced with sorry, I'm saying it wrong. All the self-criticism in the 6th needed to be replaced with compassion. And with Neptune entering Aries as of next year, your service towards others is gonna become more self-directed, not sacrificial anymore as much as it's been like in the past 14 years. It's more about empowerment. And you can listen to Virgo Rising to see how Neptune will affect your 7th house. So yeah, just know that your body is no longer a battlefield, and your work is also no longer a battlefield. It's going to become the vessel of your purpose, and also it's going to help you with productivity. As soon as Saturn, the blockage, is going to leave that, you're going to feel a very big renewal in your daily rhythm, and that's going to be quite positive. And if you've been struggling with chronic inflammation with Saturn in the 6th, Also be a little bit careful with your teeth with Saturn in the sixth. That is not always easy. Apart from that, take extra care of your back. Let a partner massage your back and your joints, because I've noticed that Saturn in the sixth can definitely bring up issues in regards to that. So let's see at what the cards are having to say for you, my dear Libra. King tide. Oh, cool. Plenty, prosperity, receiving the fullness of life. So yeah, I think a lot of you guys have been feeling a little bit strained by your daily rhythm, not really finding a balance in that. Saturn has been trying to add some structure in that since March of 2023. But if you have been suffering with like difficult to diagnose issues, or like things that come up and fade away, and like yeah, confusion in that area, then something big is going to shift in that. And then King Tide is very, very positive card to see, because in the sixth house you need to work very, very hard. And I've noticed as soon as Saturn comes over the horizon, so when it jumps into the seventh, like your ascendant and descendant is the horizon, and when it jumps over that, you become visible and all your hard work can get recognition. So if you feel like you've been working for the past 2-3 years without having a lot of return on investment, just know as soon as Saturn is going to jump over the horizon that there's going to be a massive change in that, and people are going to notice you, they're going to thank you, and they're going to, yeah, really let you know how they're gonna see the hard work that you've been putting in, and you're gonna get recognition for that. So that is the King Tide. Let it flow over you and enjoy the good benefits that it will bring, because I know Saturn in the sixth, it ain't easy. I'm almost through it as well, so yeah, I'm very happy. So good luck, my dear Libra. We have Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Neptune is going to station direct in Pisces for the final time, and is going to do that in your fifth house. So since 2011, Neptune has invited you to actually express yourself from a deeper, more soulful place. And the fifth is about creativity, and that becoming like this portal of divine guidance. And it's not just about pleasure, but it's actually helping you to heal your inner child, which is also found in the fifth. So also love is found there. So love may have taken on a more mystical quality. Some of you could have become a little bit intoxicated by some love. Others are having troubles with rose-colored glasses in love. Sometimes it could have been a little bit confusing, but you've actually learned that joy, it isn't something that you perform. It is something that you feel deep inside of you, and you need to allow it to be able to move through you. And with Saturn in the fifth for the last 2-3 years since March of 2023, you could have felt like there's no time for play and no time for like enjoying the love that you have. And yeah, Saturn can really put a damper on all the fun things in your life. Just know that this is about to change as soon as Saturn enters the sixth. Then you need to be a little bit careful, more careful about your health, but it can also mean like a stable foundation for a new job. And Neptune can really dissolve your current job structures as soon as it enters the sixth. So don't be scared about that. It's very, very destined. And you now see like clearly where fantasy has uplifted you and also where it misled you a little bit. So you're actually learning to create and love from truth and not from illusion, and the focus is going to lift around what you desire, and also your gifts take on like a whole new kind of depth and intention, and spirituality gets infused with that. So when Neptune enters Aries next year, your creativity is going to become your courage, and it's going to become the vessel that is going to create your productivity, and you can feel like inspired, and like a new type of self-expression that can come through your work or gets an outlet in your work as well. And also, yeah, your heart becomes like a force of action, and dreams that once stayed inside you are now going to begin to take form in the more outside world, in the more practical side of life when it enters the sixth. So you can listen to Libra Rising to find more, like to find out more about how Neptune will affect you in the sixth, and also know that like The muse that once whispered to you in the fifth, now is gonna come the flame that drives you forward in a whole new job environment or in regards to your health as well. So let's take a look at what card I'm gonna be pulling for you guys. So the card that I get for Scorpio, the sirens. Oh my god, you Scorpios are like sirens. So the sirens, use your voice, expansion, freedom. So this is very, very beautiful. And it's like, I immediately think about Jupiter. So let's look at where Jupiter is gonna, oh my god, yeah, of course, Jupiter is gonna enter the 10th house next year from July. And then it will be in trine if you have any placements in the 6th. So yeah, it's like use your voice, expansion, freedom. You're gonna have so much expansion in your career path next year. As soon as Jupiter enters the 10th, that is gonna be very, very possible. And there can be like a very fortuitous expansion in your reputation as well. People are going to look up to you as some kind of guide or leader or some kind of person who inherits a lot of spiritual wisdom. And as soon as Saturn and Neptune are going to leave your fifth, you're going to be more capable to fully express these threats that are like already inside of you. And like how beautiful the sirens, they like enchant and they seduce other people, and that can actually be having to do with people in some kind of authority position above you, and you can have luck because of those people with Jupiter in the 10th trining the 6th house, Saturn and Neptune. So yeah, this is actually very, very good. You really use your voice and say and speak your truth, definitely in regards of your work structure. If you're gonna tone down your voice, that could have a negative effect on your health and well-being. So don't hold back. Just hold back a little bit on the stinger. Apart from that, I really, really love you guys. So I wish you good luck. We have Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So since 2011, Neptune has been dissolving and rearranging the emotional structures beneath your life. Because it's at the bottom of the chart, Neptune is going to station direct in Pisces in your 4th house for the final time. So it's about family stories, ancestral patterns, also your sense of home and belonging. So some roots needed a lot of watering, others needed to be released or gotten resolved in some kind of way in the past 14 years. So you've also learned that home is not a place, it is actually also a feeling, and sometimes that feeling must first be rebuilt inside of yourself. So I know a lot of you Sagittarius have been struggling with trusting certain family members. Some people in your family could have been a little bit deceiving, or could have been a little, or they could have had like some kind of confusing effect on your emotions. And Neptune in the 4th is also about your ancestral spiritual patterns and maybe even curses that needed to be broken. With Saturn in the 4th for the past 2 years, some of you could have problems with water inside of the house, plummeting issues, problems with the basement, with the foundation, the underground where the house is on as well. Yeah, Saturn in the 4th can really put like a damper on your emotions, and it could feel a little bit distressing, to be honest. So yeah, just know that this big influence is gonna shift out of an angular house, and whenever it's in an angular house, it just has like a deeper effect on your the whole foundation of your chart, your identity, and because yeah, it squares. It makes squares to your ascendant, descendant, your MC, so it's been affecting like your whole foundation of your life. So that is gonna become way better. And yeah, the final station here is gonna bring a lot of clarity to the old wounds, to the protective illusions, maybe in regards to your family. Maybe you've been a little bit in denial about certain family members. When Neptune is going to leave this house, you're going to see, I know, the full truth. So you might also now like understand which emotional stories that you've been inherited and which ones that you are consciously choosing to end. So it's going to become way more easier to find safety within your own emotions and also the place that you call home. And when Neptune is going to enter Aries next year, your comfort in your emotions is going to become your confidence. And you take the inner healing that you've done these past 14 years, and now you're going to channel it into a way more bold self-expression in the fifth in regards to the outer world. So you can listen to Scorpio Rising if you want to know more about Neptune in the fifth. And just know, my dear Sag, that your roots have been woven for the past 14 years, and now they are actually ready to support you in expressing your authenticity whenever Neptune is going to enter in the fifth soon. So let's see what the cards are saying for you, my dear Sag. So the card that I'm getting is the water carrier. What really matters, reflect, reprioritize. So this is really important. Like, reprioritize what matters at home. Maybe you need to rearrange something. Maybe you need to declutter. Maybe you need to make more space. Maybe you need to make a spiritual corner now before Neptune finally leaves the fort, and where you have more place to reflect upon. And also, yeah, maybe reprioritize the needs and the boundaries within your own family system as well, and really reprioritize what you need, because with Saturn and Neptune in the fourth, sometimes we can feel a little bit blocked by our family system or some kind of dynamics within the family that are very, very karmic with Saturn in the fourth, that maybe now need to be restructured fully before Saturn and Neptune are going to leave the fourth. So yeah, very beautiful image. You can see like a woman looking at her higher self, and yeah, you're definitely being guided by your ancestors and like breaking the generational curses. So good luck with that. We have Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So Neptune is going to station direct for the final time in your third house in the sign of Pisces. So since 2011, Neptune has been dissolving like a lot of rigid thinking. It's been awakening your intuition and your communication, and studying new courses. So learning a lot of spiritual things. It's also about your everyday perception and like your local environment. So you've actually discovered that logic cannot explain every mystery, and that your voice is actually most powerful when it speaks from the heart and is tuned into like this unconditional love. And you might also have been rewriting your internal dialogue many, many times, and learning to trust insight over fear. And with this final station direct, your thoughts are going to become more clearer, the brain fog is going to lift, you're going to finally see what is imagination versus the truth, and what is merely a projection, and what is like your authentic perception. And all your conversations are going to become way more deeper, more honest, and more compassionate. So yeah, I know a lot of you guys, especially with Saturn in the third as well, have been struggling a little bit with brain fog, and also maybe some confusion in communication, or very heavy karmic responsibility within communication, or very karmic, yeah, topics with family members, especially siblings could have come forward as well. Maybe some of you got a little bit deceived while conversations are going like, or maybe you've been like deceiving others a little bit with the way you speak, and you've had your karma whenever Saturn entered that house as well in March of 2023. So yeah, the third is also about siblings, neighbors. The energy could have like been manifested through them as well. Even being on the road is part of the third, or like having weird problems with your car, and maybe some kind of loss in that area. So when Neptune is going to enter Aries next year, your communication is going like, you're going to communicate with way more conviction, and your ideas in the mind in the third will really like form the foundation for more action, and words are, yeah, are going to be used in a more of a leadership kind of position, and or people are going to come up to you for guidance, and your voice, yeah, it's going to begin a whole new chapter. Less cautious, more inspired, and you can definitely listen to Sag rising for Neptune in the 4th house, because it is going to enter an angular house, which is more strong. It's portraying more strength in an angular house, and yeah, just know Saturn in the 4th can be about, because yeah, it's your chart ruler, eh? So your chart ruler in the 3rd for the last 2-3 years could have been like really like heavy communication, heavy thinking, heavy responsibilities, and neighbors and siblings, and in your close local environment. Whenever it shifts into the 4th, there's going to be an increased responsibility and all family matters. So it's like, yeah, not a prequel, but a sequel from like everything in the 3rd that's been going on. Some of you might become a parent. Some of you need to take care of a parent, maybe when Saturn enters the 4th. And I know this is a Neptune video, but Saturn is your chart ruler. So yeah, you can like prepare for that. Just know, my dear Capricorn, that your mind is no longer simply processing life and all the facts and all of the conversations. You're done with like overplaying that in your head. It is now going to actively start to shape all of your mind and your family from January of next year. So yeah, you will act upon your knowledge more easily, and brain fog can definitely start to lift more. So that is actually positive. So the card that I get for you, my dear Capricorn, is the ripple effect. Part of something bigger, details are taken care of. So yeah, part of something bigger, all the tense thinking patterns inside of your head, there's a reason why you had to go through that. Feeling blocked on the road, having to have more patience, feeling more easily drained when you have a conversation with someone that doesn't align with your own energy. It actually taught you to really draw boundaries whenever you are speaking. So, and all of the new set boundaries that you have in your own mental programs within how you communicate to other people, that is now gonna like help you, and it has strengthened you, and you're gonna take all of that knowledge with you whenever it switches over to the 4th house. So yeah, Neptune and the 4th can also be about like infusing your home life, or your home in general, with more spiritual things, like buying more crystals, having like a spa corner or a corner for meditation. That is going to become very, very helpful whenever your ruler conjoins with Saturn, with Neptune in the 4th house. So just know that all the hard work that you went through is going to cause a major ripple effect into your house. So that is actually very, very positive. A very beautiful card for you guys. So good luck, my dear Capricorn. We have Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So how is it going, my dear Aquarius? So Neptune is going to station direct in Pisces for the final time, and is going to do that in your 2nd house. So since 2011, Neptune has been dissolving all of the outdated ideas and beliefs around worth, self-worth, security, your possessions, what you think you deserve, all the traditional measures of value. So money, achievements, belongings, they all have been massively tested and transformed. So you've learned that wealth, it isn't just finances, or like wealth is not just financial, it's actually also energetic and emotional and spiritual. It's about the money mindset, and money is energy, and you've had a lot of lessons regarding to this. So yeah, you've been discovering what truly sustains you, even when all the material certainty wavered or got dissolved in some kind of way. And that could have been like really, really critical for a lot of you guys. And the final direct station is going to reveal your true resources. And these are your creativity, your compassion, and your heightened intuition in regards to money matters. So the illusion that you must earn your worth is going to start to fade, and it's going to get dissolved. You need to cultivate trust and abundance that actually flows from alignment rather than through force. So yeah, when Neptune is going to enter Aries next year, your confidence is going to return to your body, your skills, your presence, your money-making abilities. You're going to start to claim and not question what is actually meant for you. So you can listen to Capricorn rising to get a clue about Neptune entering the third house as of next year. So also know with Saturn in the second since March of 2023, you really had to like maybe buckle up a little bit and save a little bit more. You had unexpected bills, unexpected heavy responsibilities in regards to making your income. Maybe you were blocked in making a new stream of income. All these blocks are going to start to lift. So that is actually very, very positive. So my dear Aquarius, just know that your worth, it is not longer something that you're going to chase. It is actually now something, it became something that you're going to fully embody right now. So that is very beautiful. So let's look at what the cards are having to say for you, my dear Aquarius. So the sirens, use your voice, expansion, freedom. And that is actually very, very striking, as Saturn and Neptune are going to shift into your third house. And the third house is about your voice and communication. So I think all the hardships that you went through in the second house about your self-worth, you've like completed all the difficult tasks in regards to that, and all of the wisdom that you gained by these trials, you're gonna take that with you in the third house. And Saturn in the third can definitely give a little bit of brain fog. Just know that it can also give you a lot of mature, responsible way of communicating with other people. So if you are right now struggling with brain fog, that is something that you need to like really get in order before Saturn enters the third house, so that you can tap into the more positive sides of Saturn, even though that it's still a lot of hard work and discipline and responsibility. But it's gonna be an expansion for you guys, because you had to suffer a little bit on the material, in the material realm, and now because you've overcome those hurdles, it's now gonna help you into like really use your voice and your mind in another way, because you now believe so much more in yourself. So that's actually very, very beautiful. A lot of expansion is waiting for you. And like expansion and freedom is part of Jupiter. So let's quickly look where Jupiter is going to enter for you in Leo. So, oh, it's in the seventh house. That is cool. A lot of new partnerships, new one-on-one connections. Jupiter enters the seventh as of July of 2026. So yeah, you can even bump into a new boyfriend or girlfriend within your local environment. You can even bump into them while going to the store. So keep that in mind. That is like for within a half a year, but still, it's fun to know. So good luck, my dear Aquarius. Okay, we have Pisces and Moon or Rising. What's up, Pisces? You guys are the star of today's show, because Neptune is gonna station direct in your sign for the very last time. You're not gonna need to live through this anymore, because the next time Neptune enters Pisces is within 165 years, men of Beer. So Pisces, oh my god, you guys are gonna feel such a sweet relief whenever Saturn and Neptune are gonna leave your sign within the beginning of next year. And just know that since 2011, Neptune has actually been rewriting the very, very story of who you are. It's about your identity, and it has been dissolved many, many times, and it has been reformed countless times in the past 14 years. So yeah, it's like shifting like the water tides, and that actually reflected your deeper truths, but it wasn't easy. And I know that, my dear Pisces, you've been learning how to let your intuition and your compassion, but also your creativity really lead your life. And even when others didn't fully understand the transformation happening inside of you, you still had to believe in yourself and tap into your intuition and really follow the feeling inside of your gut or in your belly. So now with Neptune stationing direct in your sign for the very last time in your lifetime, you fully are gonna see yourself like the fog is gonna lift, and you're gonna see yourself, your essence, your magic, your softness as like full strength. This is like integration time now. From now until the end of January, you need to like really, yeah, implement all of the magic that got infused in your identity for the past 14 years. So yeah, the fog is gonna lift around how others are gonna perceive you, and more importantly, how you perceive yourself. So when Neptune moves into Aries, your inner visions are, yeah, it's gonna take a very first bold big breath, and the life that yeah, you're gonna live your life in more spiritual way instead of like only dreaming about it. Your self-actualization is gonna now become your new course of action. And I know that this time it wasn't easy at all, but it really served a very, very big purpose. One in which your intuition got strongly heightened, your quest and your spiritual path became next level, and your search for connection and empathy actually overruled everything else. You really became way more psychic, and know that the fog is going to start to lift. You're going to see yourself in a whole new light. And I know since March of 2023, whenever Saturn entered your sign as well, it's been tough and strict and hard and heavy, but that is like gonna lift. So Saturn and Neptune are gonna leave your sign for good. And Neptune is gonna leave in January of 2026, and actually it's on the 26th, but it's difficult to pronounce. So January the 26th of 2026, Neptune is going to leave your sign, and then on February the 13th, if I'm not, 14th, if I'm not mistaken, Saturn is going to leave your sign as well, depending on where you are living in the world. But just know that you've completed the most difficult quest of your life, and you can listen to Aquarius rising to know how Neptune and Saturn will start to affect your second house in the upcoming 3 years for Saturn, 14 years for Neptune. So, my dear Pisces, your magic is no longer a mystery. It is actually a presence that is going to fully rise into form. So let's look at what the cards are having to say for you, my dear Pisces. And like, I'm so happy for you. That is like gonna be such a big shift in your life, a very welcoming shift after an intense, long 14 years, especially the last 3 years for you guys. So, for my dear Pisces, the well maidens, kindness, respect, reverence, compassion. Like, look how beautiful, the well maidens. So, yeah, Neptune really softened you, maybe up until the point where you've went into martyrdom quite a few times for the past 14 years. It also showed you from March of 2023 where you needed to install more boundaries because you have so much compassion and you have so much kindness, and you are like the most sensitive sign of the entire zodiac wheel. And you've like really strengthened your defenses. You've had to strengthen and protect your energy way more. And that is like a big culmination in that is happening. And look at how beautiful this card is. And like you can see Avalon at the big mountain in the UK. This is so beautiful. I visited there. So yeah, this is like such a beautiful place and such a beautiful card. And a big, I was gonna say, bevestiging, confirmation of the whole Neptune and Pisces transit. So that was it for today. Thank you guys for joining. I hope it has given you some insights, and I'll be back soon for another video. I'm preparing my 2026 video. I'm also preparing the triple conjunction that is going to happen in January. We have the winter solstice coming up. We then have a very interesting and multi-layered new moon in Sag that is gonna happen quite soon as well. So yeah, I'll be back soon with more astrological insights and more astro weather for you guys. So yeah, if you're still here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys all so much for joining, and I will see you back soon. Bye bye.